Good morning and welcome into Valley News Now. I'm Adam Shalafu, and today I am joined by Ashonti Ford live from Washington, D.C. And of course, everyone in the nation knows tomorrow is Election Day. Ashonti joining us for a little bit of last minute information on the presidential election. Ashonti, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's just, it's going to be a busy week, right? So this is the calm before the storm.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, Ashanti, I know that there have been final messages from both former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris. What kind of lasting message are they leaving with voters as they get ready to hit the polls?
Well, for VP Harris, her main message is that it's time to stop pointing the finger and move forward with solutions. And then on the other end, former President Donald Trump is, his message is really that VP Harris broke this country and he's the person to fix it. So I would say outside of their final promises for the American people, things like lowering taxes, coming up with new solutions to address issues at the border, they're both really working to reiterate why the other candidate is not fit to run the country. Former President Donald Trump really working to link VP Harris to the issues that voters have voiced about the Biden administration, specifically over the last 4 years, right? Because VP Harris, she's been a part of that administration. And I would say Trump is really using the economy to draw attention to that. Big question there is, how is she going to be different? And then on the other end, VP Harris, she's all about moving forward, coming up with solutions, as she says leaders do, as opposed to exploiting problems, which she feels the former president does. She has called him reckless, and she's used the riot on January 6th to highlight that. She's also really honing in on some of his less favorable comments, specifically for the female, for the woman demographic, in terms of women's health, women's rights, pointing to his part in overturning Roe versus Wade. So now, we wait to see what the voters decide.
And it's been a very busy, crowded campaign trail. Where are the candidates focusing on today and tomorrow?
Busy and crowded is absolutely correct. Right now, the focus, though, is on Pennsylvania and all 19 of those electoral votes, right? Every vote counts, especially because I know a lot of people are so glued into these polls. And I know I say this all the time, but I'm just going to say it again. Polls don't equate to votes. People do. So if you have not already put in your vote with early voting, which, by the way, got about 75 million votes, you need to vote tomorrow. You need to be ready to vote. Make sure you check out what location you need to be at. So both candidates are set to be in Pennsylvania today. And for a little history on the state of Pennsylvania, it was crucial back in 2020 when President Biden won, right? So for the past few weeks, both Harris and Trump have been boots on the ground, spending a lot of time there. I would say a huge focus in Pennsylvania and really just across all the states is voter integrity, making sure the final voting process is smooth. I know a big question for everyone, even us here in the newsroom, is when will we know? How long is it going to take to count all those votes? But again, it's hard to give an exact answer on that because the early voting period alone gathered again about 75 million ballots. That's record breaking for a lot of these states. And for most of these states outside of Georgia and maybe a couple others, they can't even start counting those early voting ballots until tomorrow. So we can expect a very busy next few days for election workers.
Everyone has kind of anticipated a very close race between these two candidates. And so I'm sure Trump and Harris will be kind of waiting on the edge of their seats there. Where will they be watching for the results tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're all on the edge of our seats, right? Us here in the newsroom, I'm sure in your community, this has been a very controversial presidential season. And I have to say, in terms of preparation, I'm not sure what it's like there. But here in D.C., I started seeing this probably last Tuesday or Wednesday. Several businesses are already starting to board up their windows in anticipation of riots, either tomorrow or on Wednesday. So safety, I would say, is the number one priority for us here in D.C. and then across the nation, voter integrity, right? But in terms of where each of these candidates will be, Vice President Kamala Harris, she's actually going to be not too far from here in D.C. at Howard University. The former president, he's going to be in South Florida at the Palm Beach Convention Center, which is not too far from his Mar-a-Lago residence. And I would say, for the past several weeks, both Trump, Harris, and their running mates have been boots on the ground, hitting multiple states a day. And this is all about reaching as many demographics, right? As many people as possible. And this includes those undecided voters who we've been talking about. I know last week, I think the undecided voter percentage was around 25%. So right now, they're both just bracing themselves for what is going to be probably one of the most crucial decisions in this year's very controversial political season. And even though I have to say 90% of the polling booths, they do close before midnight tomorrow, again, there's no timeline on when election officials will have that final decision. And just a note, tomorrow, Tuesday, Polls are set to open in Maine around 6 a.m. Eastern time, and they'll close in a small town in Alaska called Adak at midnight. Very busy next 36 hours.
Absolutely is. Ashonti, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we let you go?
Well, I'm getting up early, going to sleep early. So, I know being on the morning team, I know you're doing the same. So just make sure you're nice to yourself and get plenty of rest and have your coffee in the morning.
I got it right here, Ashonti. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Great to talk to you again. And good luck with your coverage.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us on Valley News Now. That's all the time we have for you. We'll see you next time.